Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Andy Sanchez here to do another Maschine tutorial. This one's going to be over how to make a beat. So just going to teach you essentially the basics and what you need to know and a little bit more. So I'm going to show you a quick demo of what we're going to try to make. So this beat has some sidechain compression going on. That's what the pumping effect is. Then I'm going to show you how to do some snare rolls, and I'm also going to teach you how to put the Maschine into the chord mode and how to use that. Also going to use that on the snare. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Delete the first two groups we already have there so we can start fresh. We're going to use the Maschine to browse into our instruments tab. And you could pull up Massive if you want, or whatever keyboard you'd like. I'm going to dive into the user presets right here by pressing user. And I can go over to Massive, and mine actually gets stuck on the serum, but I can go over to Massive, and we can search right here by scrolling this knob. But I already know which keyboard I want, so I'm going to actually search it by name. So this synth is, or this keyboard is called KY Jelly. If you don't have KY Jelly, that's fine. You can use another keyboard that kind of sounds like this. KY is actually stands for keyboard, so yeah, so this thing's pretty cool. We are going to now add a drum kit by pressing B. I've already made some drum kits, right? So basically what I've done is I've went through this sounds tab and I've typed in, for instance, like it's already written there, but kick. And I've grabbed a kick and I've added it to a group. Right, so I've filled up this group, for instance, with 16 different sounds. You can right-click the group and then save it. Underneath that, you can actually name your group, and where that will show up is under your user banks. If you hit Browse, you can hit User, and they'll be under Groups. So you can see that you can scroll through your kits right here, and you can also see them over here in the software or on the computer. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and load this first kit named Future. Alright, so this kit actually has a ton of snares, but they all come in handy. So just a heads up, if you save a group with any kind of MIDI notes or anything in the scene, it will save that as well. So right now I have this, I guess, beat I was working on. Alright, we're going to delete that and we're going to start from fresh with the synth. So going back to A on the Maschine controller, making sure we have sound 1 selected, we could press shift pad mode to put the keyboard all over the controller. We could press pad mode right here, and just a heads up, if yours flashes between screens like that, you just need to press pad mode. You need to hold pad mode and then press it right here at the top left. Alright, so now we can put this in a minor key by turning the first knob, then moving over to the third knob under mode. We can put it in a chord mode, but actually let me show you how to put it in a key. So on these little tabs, semi, minus, we can go down to F sharp. So now we're in F sharp minor, and you can see that we're in F sharp by the bold colored letters, little block. And you can also see those bold pads light up a little brighter than the other pads. That's your root note. So you know that this is an octave. and this is an octave. So you have 7 notes between each octave, or 6 notes. So now what we're going to do is put this into the chord mode, and we could scroll over, put it into harm, and then right here scroll until it says 1 3 5 7. Now we have a pretty awesome keyboard. Alright, so we got our drums, we got our synth, we're ready to record. We're going to turn on the metronome by pressing Shift play. By holding Shift, you can execute anything that is in white, any of the white words, by pressing Shift, for instance, undo or redo, anything like that. So Shift record will give us a count in before we start recording, so let's go ahead and do that and get started. Not exactly what I wanted. So this is an example of the workflow that you're going to want to start adopting with Maschine. So you can hold Shift, undo, and then just press record. So here we go. Not what I wanted, so boom. That's the workflow right there. Then we're going to want to press the record button again, because that basically like finalizes what we did. So if we press undo, we don't mess with any tweaks we've done after recording. So basically, if I would have kept pressing record and quantized, then wanted to undo the quantize, it would actually undo everything that I just recorded if record was still pressed. Okay, so now we got a cool little synth set up. Now we're going to add some drums. So we press B. So let's go ahead and press Shift record. Didn't like it, so we're going to do Shift undo, Shift record. So I didn't hit everything perfect, so we're going to do Shift quantize to make sure we got everything on the grid. Our grid is set to 16th notes. Here is where you adjust that, and you can turn on and off the grid right here with this button. So that worked out. So now we got a beat. We could turn our metronome off. We have some hi-hats that we're going to add in a little bit, but first we need to do some of that sidechain compression that I was talking about. So we're going to go back to the synth, and we're going to make sure we're on sound, and then we're going to press the plus button, go to internal, and then compressor. You can go straight to sidechain, select under Andy Future Kit, we could select Future Kit Kick. All right, so let's hear that. Okay, cool. So what we can start doing is messing with the filter a little bit. This is just like basically spreading out those frequencies and making it a little bit more clear. We could go back to main and start like actually messing with this threshold. So I'm going to show you actually what a compressor does by pressing Shift Navigate. Now we can see the compressor right here. So we can see we're on KY Jelly and this is our compressor. Here we go. So you can see that it is the volume of the compressor is pushing down the volume of the synth. So this is the synth volume, or the keyboard volume, and this is the kick drum causing the compressor to lower the volume of the keyboard. Now we have several ways of adjusting this. We can adjust the amount of compression that it does. So the threshold decides when it starts compressing, and then the amount, or the ratio, is how much it compresses. The attack decides how fast that's done. So if you want it to swell up from the beginning, you use this as a slower attack. Okay, so if the attack is slow, it's going to kind of swell up. If you have a long release or a slow release, it stays compressed longer. So you could see how this thing is reacting here now. So if I bring it back, it'll come back up faster. If I bring it over, it'll stay down longer. Same for the attack, it'll come down faster versus take longer to actually begin compressing. See what happens if we really squash it. I usually don't have to do this much compression for this. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. That was the filter causing an issue with that. So make sure that you pay attention to everything that you set. You can keep this however you want it. We're just going to fly with it just because we're kind of just doing a demo. Now we're going to get into actually adding some snare rolls and stuff. So that's how you sidechain compress in Maschine. So we can add some hi-hats in a really cool way by pressing note repeat. We have 4 note values. I recommend doing the 8th, 16th, 8th note triplet, and then a 32nd note. You can select one and change it by moving the second knob over, or the third knob over. You can also change the unit, so from dotted, triplet, and then just regular. So it might make more sense if I did it like this. But just experiment with that. There's definitely a lot to experiment with these different rhythms. So let's go ahead and try to add some hi-hat to this. A little too fast right now. Let's try it again. Nope. So that's the workflow. Every time you don't like something, just shift undo, record. One more time. Still didn't like it. I just don't think I like the 16th note. So what we're gonna do is make these dotted, right, to give like a kind of offbeat. Here we go. To keep it a little bit more chill. Here we go. Alright, so one thing I started doing just randomly, adding a little bit of compression to the hi-hat. And now we can really hear what that kick drum's doing. It adds a lot more movement to the track. It's just like a cool vibe. And it makes a simple hi-hat groove sound really cool. So I do recommend going ahead and saving right now by pressing Shift and save. Okay, so we can add like a lot of different stuff to this right now if we want. We could just start layering and layering, but I'm trying to just show you some techniques. So we're gonna focus on the snare. We're gonna select the snare, do Shift pad mode, and now we have it all over. Okay, so if we press note repeat, but I don't know if we want this dotted, but we definitely don't, and we want a 16th right there. Let's see, we might use a dotted. So let's go ahead and do some techniques here. So now we have like a way of being like this, doing something like maybe we should go down an octave. So if we press pad mode, we can press octave down. And we can do that now. So press note repeat again to get back to your values. Yeah, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Something like that. Okay, so let's give that a shot. Shift, record, here we go. Okay, so Shift undo, Shift record. That sounded pretty cool. This one went, I wanted this last note to actually be down here. So now we have this. So make sure you press record every time you finish. Okay, moving on. We have now added some cool snares to it. We've added the sidechain compression. We've added the hi-hats. We know how to use the note repeat. We know how to sidechain compress. So we pretty much know how to do a lot now. You have a lot of ways to make some music with Maschine. I could show you one more thing just because we're on the note repeat pad mode kick. So let's try this real quick by going back to where the synth is, pressing Shift pad mode, selecting the second pad, then pressing Shift pad mode again and going to browse. We're just looking for something really chill, like just like a quick lead, a really clean lead kind of thing. And I'm going to show you how to arpeggiate. Let's turn off the harm, get out of the chord mode for now. Go to pad mode and go up a couple octaves. This might work. Let's try it. So we could go under pad mode. Make sure we're in the 1-3-5-7 again. Go to note repeat. And now we have some arpeggiated kind of stuff. So check this out. Ooh, that was on triplets. So let's actually see what dotted does. Maybe not. Messing around, right? Just making something like interesting. Then we can go in and do the sidechain compression again and just see what happens and like mess with it like that, right? So go into sidechain, select the kick drum, turn on the filter, maybe turn it down this time. And then go in and mess with the threshold. Maybe do more on the amount. Do the attack slow. And do the release slower. Maybe bring up the release. Maybe do it like a really fast release to make it like kind of pop at the end. Here we go. A little faster. Or a little slower. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we've like made like a really trippy synth part. We can bring down the volume by pressing Shift Navigate. And this is that second instrument. Maybe we wouldn't even keep that, but that was just kind of an example of how to use the arpeggiator, which is like really fun. Cool. So I think we're good. You understand how to sidechain compress, how to use pad mode,